Hello, it is the Phenomenal Show-Off, host of the Phenomenal Show-Off Live. And this is an official Concord Outlaws product. And just a reminder, this Saturday, June 10th, at Coral Springs High School in Coral Springs, Florida, former WWE talent Elijah Burke, as well as X-Pac, the Headbangers, and ODB will be performing at Fighting Evolution Wrestling Summer Showdown 2. General admission tickets start at $15. Ringside seats at $20. Children 10 and under are free. Go and enjoy. And now, your featured presentation.
Yeah, we're coming now.
Get the tables. Get the tables.
Get the tables. Get the tables.
Welcome everybody to the second episode of MarkOutMania Season 1. I don't really know if we can call it a season. It's just episode 2 though of my show here, the Phenomenal K-Dog. I am here with you. I definitely want to welcome everybody for this week's show. We got a good show lining up for you here this week. Definitely want everybody to check out, if you haven't, episode 1 of MarkOutMania. 2.5 hours long. Once again, I do apologize for the length of these stuff, guys, but when you're having so much fun talking, you forget the time frames, and maybe I could have stopped it and maybe do a two-parter. That's something I have to do maybe in the future if I start seeing the time is starting to go about over an hour and 15, stuff like that. But definitely check out episode 1. If you're on the way to work, school, home from work and school, have it any downtime, anything like that, definitely check it out. Do some increments, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Definitely an interesting show. Want to thank Jacob Brock again for coming on and sharing his experiences with me and talking wrestling and all that good stuff. Definitely check out yesterday's live stream with the 4/5 members of the Outlaws. One of them had internet connection. That'd be the Phenomenal C Nation, a.k.a. James. So kind of sucks about that. Speaking of that, he's got the Carolina Revival. He's got a new episode up on YouTube. Check that out. I think it just uploaded that either today or last night. So definitely check out all this stuff. Got a lot of things going on for the Concord Outlaws. Definitely appreciate your guys' listening and watching us. Once again, though, very critical. We need feedback. Whether you like it, dislike it, definitely put something in the comments, either on Facebook, facebook.com/Concord Outlaws, at Twitter, Concord Outlaws, or if you're watching something on YouTube, definitely give us some feedback. We can't do anything better or worse besides the length of stuff if we don't have any feedback. So getting on to today's show, we've got a special guest. Last week, if you guys heard the show, I said I don't even know if I would have a special guest. And, you know, some things, plans work out very well. So very excited to have Will the Thrill. Will Carter is here this week on the show. Say hello to the fans, Will.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Will has been a guest on the show before. However, it was during WrestleMania week, and I don't even think that got made it to air. We've got like 3 lost episodes of podcasting that we did down in WrestleMania, and we just haven't uploaded those yet. Maybe that'd be like a lost files edition. I don't know, but it's in the vault. It's in the memory bank. It just needs to get edited and uploaded. You know, we're almost 2 months now after it, but Will's been on the show before, but definitely give him a follow on Facebook, William Carter. I don't know if you have any social media besides that. Is that it?
I technically have a Twitter, but I've done nothing from it since day one. So, no, I don't think I do.
It's all good. It's all good. If you happen to get back into the swing of things and do that, hey, that's great. Will definitely does some blog posting on the Concord Outlaws Wrestling Facebook page. You know, I tried the writing stuff. We tried the little WordPress blogging stuff, and apparently we just didn't do very well at it, being the people we are. But definitely Will's got some interesting stuff and then interesting viewpoints and great viewpoints. So if you happen to have a chance of going on the Facebook page and just checking some of that stuff out, definitely do so. It's some great stuff that he's got going on. So this week's show, going to review Raw a little bit, basically a whole rundown of Raw, go each by segment almost, and give a preview and predictions for Extreme Rules. A little jealous because Will the Thrill over there definitely went to Raw this week. It was in Greenville, South Carolina, the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. And Mr. Will went to the show, got like basically right behind where the ring announcer JoJo was sitting, which is pretty jelly, not going to lie. It's pretty jelly. So, Will, going right into it, man, how was Raw from your perspective, from the from a fan's perspective inside the arena, the crowd reaction. How was Raw start to finish from your perspective?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the show. It's actually one of the better Raws I've been to. That was probably the 6th Raw I've been to, and I would say it's probably the top 1 or 2. Just the triple threat match was really, really good. I love the dynamic between Bray and Samoa Joe, and then Finn kind of bringing his own technical style into what became like a brawl almost was really cool, and watch the dynamic build there. And the main event, Roman and Seth, they always produce good matches. I'm a bit biased. I'm a Seth Rollins fan, so having Roman go over was a little iffy on my part, but I saw where they were going with it. The crowd was on and off throughout the night. Anytime the cruiserweights got up there, the crowd either turned off or made some stupid comments like chanting Neville's a hobbit, TJ Pants, things like that. Things they were not paying attention to the match at all. However, when the good matches got up there, especially like the triple threat or Ambrose and the Hardys versus Cesaro and The Miz, the crowd was really into it. We were exchanging chants. So that was really fun. I enjoyed throwing my 2 cents in there with a couple people around me. Had a couple times when I had to yell at some fans to knock it off or tell them that Samoa Joe isn't lazy. So it was good. I enjoyed it interacting with some of the fans and being that close, getting to yell at some of the wrestlers who are the heels. That was always fun. Other than that, I think the crowd was actually more into the show than most Greenfield crowds are. I think the wrestlers themselves have gotten a little bit more interactive. The only segment that the crowd really crapped on, so to speak, was the "This Is Your Life" segment. I think Bliss did her best, and seeing her visibly get aggravated and agitated what was going on, and she was even losing her edge, so to speak, with what was going on. The crowd just hated it. They were chanting for the woman who was pretending to be the teacher. Several throughout the rest of the night, Mrs. Flapper chants went throughout the arena. But that was the only time that the show really kind of slowed down and the crowd kind of started reacting negatively to it. Once the main event hit, once Roman came out and Rollins was out, there was dual chants. We got Roman sucks, let's go Roman, and then Rollins chants. That was fun. I enjoyed that. The only thing I thought was kind of off, I didn't really like, was the constant change of the ropes for the cruiserweight matches. There was one in the pre-show for the main event, and then there were 2 cruiserweight matches in Raw itself. And so 3 times during the commercial breaks, they had people run through, change the ropes, change them back, and then do it again. And it just became a big hassle, very distracting, and almost became like a mockery. Like we were kind of laughing and making fun of it because it was poorly planned, and it looked like the people didn't know what they were doing. Half the time, you could see the camera. They had to focus it on the ramp or something like that, something going on the ramp, so the workers could finish up changing the ropes. So, to me, the way they do the cruiserweight stuff, they needs to be more streamlined. Have all the cruiserweight segments relegated to 1 hour or 1 section, and then just clear it up after that. Other than that, it was very good. I enjoyed it. The crowd seemed to be fairly into it. Matches, 3 really good matches. The 6-man tag was really good. The triple threat in the main event. Other than that, I wish there was an actual women's match, but beggars can't be choosers,
True that. Who'd you go with? Did you go with your mom? Did you go with brother?
Yeah, my mom and my brother. It was actually an early graduation present for me, so they treated me to the tickets, and I got to go. I didn't like how even though there was 2 merchandise tables, they were lined about 50 people deep on each side.
Oh, yeah.
So I couldn't even get anything, and I was a little miffed about that, but it is what it is.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, quickly before we kind of dive into this show here, the cruiserweight thing with the changing of the scenery and stuff like that, it does get a little agitating. Even whenever they do it on Raw, it just seems like they always cut it so close. And sometimes whenever they're in mid-chain, sometimes during the commercial break, they'll have somebody do an entrance, or even right after the commercial break, and they're doing the entrance and it's on TV. Sometimes they have to cut away and either show the audience, or they show the commentators, or they show a video package because they're still not done yet. I agree. They do that kind of weird, and they do it kind of just in a very just distracting way. I do kind of wish they would do it in the whole cruiserweight thing in a segment or two. I guess though it does add a little dynamic of, oh, hey, here's the cruiserweights, and then you go back to the regular Raw, and then back to the cruiserweights. My thing is, I don't even know why 205 Live is even a thing if they show them on Raw and it's exclusive to Raw when they even have their own show. Like, to me, that contradicts it. But that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. I saw the cruiserweights at WrestleMania, saw them at Raw, and I saw them at SmackDown, and even all three, I was like, man, they're getting their money's cut out here with all 3 days of having to change out the purple and the ring mats and stuff like that. It's crazy. So, going into Raw, we'll kind of quickly, like I said, go through the run sheet here and get your opinions and both of our opinions and in arena reactions that you remember for all sorts of these. Starting with opening the show, got Miz TV with Sheamus and Cesaro were the guests. I like the Sheamus and Cesaro being the heel tag team. I think they're doing pretty well so far. I think they're doing pretty well in holding their own weight and adding a really, really good dynamic to their chemistry and their team. And then you got the Hardys in the mix as well. And then leading kind of directly from that into the six-man tag with Ambrose and the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro and The Miz. The crowd seemed like they were pretty into it at the beginning. They seemed like there was a really, really good crowd, and the match was actually really good too. I mean, I think all six guys are at the top of their game right now. And I basically love anything Miz does nowadays. Just perfect. I do think Dean is kind of in a bind with his character. He's a phenomenal talent and definitely a great charismatic guy for his character, but I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more dynamic to it. I don't know if turning him fully heel would be something. I don't know, but great match. How did the crowd react to the match? And then how did they? I know that obviously for being in Orlando, that's the last time I went to a Raw or any WWE show. The crowd was obviously hot for the Hardys. What was it like having the Hardy Boys back in the Carolinas in WWE?
Well, yeah, I definitely thought the crowd was definitely into it. The delete chants were very big. I caught myself doing it a couple of times. I enjoyed, the crowd actually being fired up for the Hardys and having fun with them while like commercial break was going on. You could tell they were interacting with the crowd very well. I felt like they were definitely in their element. I felt like they were enjoying themselves. A lot of times when I see them on TV and other shows and stuff, they look kind of like they're off a little bit, but being back in WWE, they look like they're finally in their element. They're connecting with the fans better. The crowd kind of died out a little bit in the middle when Ambrose was pulling the whole he was being attacked by all the heels and he was struggling in the middle of the match. I feel like that is a dynamic to tag team wrestling that kind of needs to die out. The idea of this one wrestler who's getting beat up the entire match and then the hot tag. While the hot tag moment is always pretty cool, watching that go off, it becomes a slog to sit there and watch like Dean just get beaten up and beaten up and beaten up, and it slows down the match, and the crowd just turned off middle of the match. Towards the end, they start picking up chanting for the Hardys, all that kind of stuff. But it just kind of shut them down, and I kind of shut down too. I got a little distracted with other things just because it was kind of the same old thing over and over again. Other than that, watching the different suicide dives and Sheamus, I finally started enjoying Sheamus as a heel. He's doing really well. It's nice because I'm not just getting only Sheamus doing only Sheamus things. He's tagging with Cesaro, and Cesaro is doing really well as a heel. I like him on the microphone. I kind of started seeing them gel together, and I really like them as a team. And of course, the Hardys are Hardys. They're great. The Miz was really good. I felt like the Miz TV segment was a little short, that it could have gone on a little longer, because I felt like it was kind of pointless. I was hoping for like a build to something. But other than that, the crowd was into it at the beginning and at the end, but that hot tag moment was what the build to that was what slowed down the crowd, and the crowd stopped getting into it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can notice that a little bit on the TV, but sometimes WWE does with their little crowd control audio, so I didn't know if that was kind of the same thing that was going on in the arena. So, yeah, leading into that, definitely we got Corey Graves getting up from the announce table, looking at his phone, and then going and leaving up from the announce booth. On TV, it was a little weird. I'm like, why is he getting up? What's going on here? And the whole text that he showed Angle, and that whole little that Angle, no pun intended, the angle that with Angle. That's definitely interesting. Usually with your commentators, you got the classic heel versus face commentator, with Graves being the heel commentator. Michael Cole was kind of like the moderator, and Booker T is kind of in the middle too as well, but he leans more towards the faces. But that was definitely an interesting dynamic. Did you guys in the arena, I know that from my perspective, just going to Raw, both in Charlotte in November and then going in Orlando, that anytime that the commentators are standing up or something like that, they will be turned, the backs toward the crowd basically, and the bright spotlight basically that they have over there by them is on them, so you kind of know when they're doing their own thing. But in the arena, did you guys, I'm sure you guys obviously noticed when Corey Graves left the announce table, did you guys get to see, obviously you can't hear, but did you see the angle on the big screen? Did they show anything like that on the big screen? Or what was your guys' kind of little, in the arena, like what's going on here as well? Kind of a little confusion?
So from where I was sitting, I could not see the announce table. So I didn't even know Corey Graves left his seat until he popped up on the screen talking to Kurt Angle. So
you're like, what's going on?
I didn't find out that he had actually left his table until I got home and read the results from Raw. And the same thing with later on when Big Cass comes to the announce table. I didn't even know he was there until somebody told me, "Oh, hey, look, Big Cass is up there." I didn't even see it. I had to barricades in the ring in the way, but I didn't feel like I missed too much. It kind of talked about it on the screen, so I was okay with that. But the problem is, wherever you sit in the arena, you're not going to see everything. So, but I'm interested in seeing where they're going to go with this. I hope that it's not just like Corey Graves is the messenger boy talking about this message or whatever, that he's actually part of a story. So he's not just only a commentator, but that he's maybe got a bigger role than what we think. Mm-hmm. I saw somebody say that they were thinking, what if Corey Graves was going to manage a heel Big Cass? And I thought that would actually be a really cool thing to get him off of the announce table for a little bit and get him back around the ring. He can't wrestle, but maybe he could do something that gets him back into what he loves.
Yeah, I agree with that. That'd be definitely something pretty cool. And we're kind of leading right directly into the next little point that I got here, that I think Corey Graves said on the broadcast that he wanted to shake the hands of the perpetrator who attacked Enzo. And out came Big Cass that same night and was all in Corey's face, and Corey kind of backed down, apologized a little bit, but shook his hand. So I thought that was kind of like maybe a little sly indication that maybe Corey's going to say, yeah, the guy that the perpetrator shook my hand and it was Big Cass, and they kind of introduced that. From being at Raw and then watching kind of the past episodes, if you have, are we just about all of 100% agree that it's pretty much Big Cass that attacked Enzo?
I kind of hope it's not. I kind of hope it's not even the Revival. I really was kind of hoping that was Goldust. That Goldust was actually going to be building heat to be like an actual villain and to go after like the team that, a very like that he's this veteran and he's this very knowledgeable wrestler who's going after and taking out this wrestler he deems is not disrespectful, but like not on his level, and that he should be taken out. or something like that. Something to build heat towards Goldust more than just taking out R-Truth. I'm kind of iffy on breaking up the Enzo Cass right now. I mean, you just broke up Gargano and Ciampa, and then you just broke up R-Truth and Goldust. And so I feel like it would be kind of white noise at this point to break up another tag team. And especially since they're just going nowhere, so that's not really been building like their friendship or anything like that, and they've just been kind of doing jobber matches. But if it's going to happen, it's good to have Big Cass be a heel, because I think he's so good in the ring. He's very dynamic. He could do it. I think he could pull it off very well.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting seeing the Big Cass heel and then being him being on his own. I just would feel bad for Enzo because I just don't know if he can pull his own weight as a singles competitor. I mean, definitely he's got the mic work and he's got the talk down, but there's just something about him in ring that I'm not quite clicking with yet. I really don't know what it is. It just might be his in ring technique, I guess maybe is the best way I can call it. I'm not really sure. There's just something about having both of them that makes it perfect. Like Cass could be the talker and Cass just be the big guy that beats it up, and it's kind of an old cliche that happens a lot, but it works for him. So
I guess my thing is that Enzo doesn't come across as actual wrestler. Like, I feel like he doesn't even know how to wrestle at times. He just kind of flails around and swings his fists and jumps around, and that Cass is the actual wrestler who knows what he's doing. I agree with you. I don't know if Enzo can survive on his own. I feel like he would need a manager. It's too bad that Carmella is on SmackDown, because I think Carmella could do a nice face turn and help protect Enzo and guide him through, because she's good on the microphone. And while Enzo's good on the microphone, he needs something else. He needs a dynamic to protect him, because he's not going to do well on his own. His matches with Cass, I don't think will be even good at all. I don't think, because Cass will just butcher him.
yeah, I agree with that. I could see that too as well, and I don't know. I can see the manager thing for Enzo potentially having something like that. I don't know about Carmella. I like Carmella with a Big Hog right now. The Big Hog is near and dear to my heart, and I love me some Big Hog. James Ellsworth is a fantastic guy. Moving on from that, though, right on down the list, we've got the squash match of Elias Sampson defeating Zach Evans. It's great to finally see Elias Sampson on the live TV getting some matches, even if it's against squash guys and jobbers and stuff like that. I think so far WWE has done a pretty good job of building up and introducing the Drifter. I like the whole the announcing saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, Elias Sampson," and then he kind of does his own little thing for a little while, and then out comes a competitor or somebody interrupts him, stuff like that. But I think he's getting good TV time. I think he's doing really good so far. How did the crowd react in Greenville, in arena for Elias?
Yeah, most people were chanting for Zach. I think he was definitely a local competitor, and a lot of people knew him. There was a couple people chanting "Go Jobber Go." I think Elias Sampson can build good heat. I just think his gimmick is kind of garbagey. Him coming out and playing a song every single time. It feels like Jeff Jarrett, but like wanting to be an actual musician. So it's really weird.
I was gonna say Jeff Jarrett, but the Jeff Jarrett 2.0, but the actual one that knows how to wrestle.
And the thing is, I enjoy Samson like being a heel and being kind of vicious, but it's that gimmick is kind of off-putting. I did like him drifting, quote unquote, between shows. I thought that was quite funny. I got a kick out of watching him just in the background and then slowly appear and not say a word. But I wish that kind of was prolonged a little bit long, kind of like Heath Slater when he was trying to get on both shows, just kind of drifting between SmackDown and Raw until somebody like calls him out and he can prove himself actually as a wrestler.
Yeah, definitely. Since that segment really didn't take up too much, we'll kind of just slide on down here. And I hate that this is kind of like in the middle of the show, but I'm glad it was in the middle of the show. That way you kind of had something to build towards and look up towards all show long. The triple threat between Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, and Bray Wyatt. I felt like this should have been the main event. I mean, I can understand, I guess, why not, but the chemistry those three have is just fantastic. If it were up to me, I wish one of those three were Universal Champion, and those three were having a feud, and I could have a triple threat between those three almost every Raw pay-per-view. I think they just got that good of chemistry. Definitely, I know the crowd ate that up for sure with the whole triple threat. And having Samoa Joe won kind of, I don't want to say it was shocking to me. I think it was a little bit different. I had definitely expected either Finn or my curveball would have been Bray winning this match. And it was Samoa Joe. So that was definitely a little bit of a surprise to me. But a fantastic match. Definitely all three of them have great chemistry, great charisma. And it's just amazing. It never amazes me, even when I watched Samoa Joe in 2006 in TNA, all the way to now, just how athletic he really is for such a big guy. And Bray Wyatt has come a long way with his in-ring work, and his character is always going to be over. And Finn Balor can just come out and then receive a pop from anybody. So, like I said, I don't know why this wasn't a main event of the show, but whatever works. Definitely, how was the crowd reacting to this? I know this one was definitely a favoritism from the crowd.
So yeah, the crowd was really, really into this. We had some dual chants between "Let's go Balor," "Let's go Wyatt." I had a hard time myself deciding who I was going to chant for. Me and my mom are both really big fans of Balor, but I'm also really a big fan of Wyatt. So I was kind of throwing everybody's name out there. A couple people were chanting, saying that Joe is lazy, or Joe needs a break, Joe needs a rest, because he was doing the traditional kind of resting outside during a triple threat until it's his time to jump in. And they didn't get that dynamic, so they were calling him lazy, or whatever. Or Joe needs a Red Bull. That was a chant too.
It's a Red Bull.
But I really enjoyed it. I mean, the crowd was really into it, like you said. Fired up every time Balor kept getting a couple minutes of action. He kept fighting back as they would turn against him. The crowd really liked it whenever Bray turned on Samoa Joe in the middle of the match. That was really cool. Of course, I'm a big fanboy for Bray Wyatt, and I was chanting for him the whole time. And I really enjoy his dynamic with other wrestlers and how he almost changes his dynamic depending on who he's facing. Upset that Bray didn't get the win and he took the pin, but I was okay that Bray, got to show off a little bit of his skills, viciousness, and still make everybody else look strong as well. Again,
yeah, definitely.
The crowd was definitely fired up for that match.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I don't know why that wasn't the main event, but hey, it's all good. Like I said, it gave me something to look forward to in the mid-show, and it definitely made me, to me, not get bored. I really wasn't bored with this Raw. I thought it was a really good show, really good dynamic to all segments, basically. Moving on from the triple threat match, we had Rich Swann versus Noam Dar, kind of a feeler and a filler, not too much going on there, with Swann winning. The biggest takeaway for me in this match wasn't Rich Swann or Noam Dar. It was the fact that we didn't have one women's match on the show tonight. And it kind of made me realize that right now, even though talent-wise, in my opinion, Raw's women division is better than SmackDown's, I think they are just using these women so horribly. And to me, it almost reminds me of pre-Women's Revolution, where they would put these women in maybe a 5-minute segment, or they would put them with a guy and they run a story with them. I have no idea why you have such a top talent like Sasha Banks going back and forth between Cedric Alexander, who's now injured, to Rich Swann. And why, and I know Alicia Fox has been going back and forth, and she's been implemented to the storyline way before this, and I guess that's okay, but it's like, to me, Sasha's a wrestler first, not a side hoe, or not a side kick. and just sitting there dancing and not doing anything. You've got such a great roster right now that they should be having a six-way match for the women's title, and to counter what SmackDown's going to be doing with the Money in the Bank match. With you got Dana Brooke, who is vastly improving. You've got Mickey James on the show, Bayley, Alexa, Sasha, Alicia, Nia Jax. I mean, there's so much dynamic on that roster, and why they're not being used properly kind of frustrates me a lot. How's the crowd reacting to Swan versus Dar? And then, kind of what's your opinion on the whole, where the women's division right now is at on Raw?
Well, so the crowd kind of was a little bit fired up for this match. Of course, they weren't really digging any of the story. They were just more like siding with Rich Swann, and they thought he was good. I enjoyed it myself just because I enjoy Rich Swann. I think the angle's stupid. I think we're past the point of seeing mixed gender tags, not just for the sake of mixed gender tag matches. Because we need to find something for these people to do. I think if there's a significant story and like if there's a fire building up or like a big heated rivalry, that makes sense. But this is just Alicia Fox, Diggs, Noam Dar, and so now they have to go after every female and male on the roster. Doesn't make sense, and it's going to be a blow-off match at this pay-per-view. The crowd was kind of into it, supporting Rich Swann. Other than that, they were just happy that Sasha Banks was out there, and you had a couple we want Sasha chants. For me, I have to actually disagree with you. I think SmackDown's women's division is a lot better than Raw's, while Raw has my girl Alexa Bliss because she's fantastic.
More than fantastic. But
yeah,
yes, we'll use that for now.
She's blissful.
There you go.
And Bayley's good. I don't feel like Bayley is as good as she was in NXT. I feel like her character has reached its peak. I feel like there's not much left to dig from with her character. I think she needs to have a little shift in some direction. I think for the main roster, like it was perfect for NXT because of the small crowd, and it felt like she was a homegrown character, and that the crowd was behind her because that was their, supporter. Like we support her and we're pushing her to the top. Now she's just kind of there, and she kind of feels like this little girl gimmick in a grown-up girl world. Mickey James, she's great. I feel like she deserves a little bit bigger push than she's getting. Nia Jax, I think she's approved, but she needs to work on some stuff. And I'm missing. I cannot remember her name. The one from NXT, the blonde girl, the fitness girl.
Oh, Dana Brooke. Sorry.
Yes, my brain. She's okay. She's gotten a lot better, but not having her on Raw every week is kind of SmackDown, I feel like, is doing so much better. Every once in a while, they have a kind of boring thing, like Natalia's thing is getting a little boring, but this ladder match is going to be really, really good, and I think it's going to show off a lot of their skills. I hope it's the chance for Carmella to show how good she is, because she's not really gotten a whole lot of time to show her real skills. And I think Tamina can really show that she is not just a muscle for another wrestler, but that she can actually carry her own. So I think when people say SmackDown is the land of opportunity, I think that's why the SmackDown women's division is a lot better. Because even Charlotte, while she could be the main girl, and like Raw did, and put Charlotte at the top, I feel like she's at the top with a lot of other girls who are as equally good as her. And like they're showing that she's on equal footing with everybody on the SmackDown. She's with people at her level, and I like that. So, though Naomi is champion, I feel like anybody on SmackDown, save maybe Carmella right now and Tamina, anybody can take that title from her, and it'll be legit. So that's why I feel like this ladder match is coming up for the Money in the Bank for them. I think they've earned it, and it feels like it fits in well that they are all on equal footing, rather than on Raw, where Sasha Banks kind of over here, and Bayley and Alexa Bliss over here, and everyone else is kind of at the bottom, and nobody knows where they are.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can agree with that. I just think that talent-wise, Raw has a better talent pool. But I do agree that SmackDown is definitely utilizing their women a lot better than Raw is for sure. So it'll be interesting seeing here on out what the women's division on Raw will be like, and going after Extreme Rules, and then with SmackDown going into and after Money in the Bank, see what goes on from that. Moving on though for Raw from the Swan Dar and the women's division type fiasco. Titus O'Neil versus Kalisto, yet again one of these matches that it's a filler. Didn't really care for it that much. Kind of was like looked like a botched finish with the way Titus rolled up Kalisto. I like Kalisto. I met him at Access, so I guess that's why I'm a little biased towards it. But Titus is always been one of those guys where he looks good, and it looks like he should be more than what he's doing. And there's some days, some weeks where you're like, I really have no idea why this guy is even doing anything. My biggest takeaway from this, even though Titus won, is where the storyline goes with him and Apollo Crews. I am a big Apollo Crews fan. Ever since he came into NXT, I've been a really big fan of him. And he's just, ever since he got called up last year, the day after 32, he has just been in this I don't really know what the word is, this ongoing fiasco of uncertainty. You have no idea where he's going, what direction he's going. I thought maybe the move to Raw would help him become something a little bit more. Having him with the Titus brand, I guess it's something for him. But I just feel like they're not showcasing his talent, and I just don't really know his character, really, besides just this guy that's happy to be there and smiling and stuff like that. I don't really know if there's anything more to it than that. He needs an edge. He needs a little bit more intensity, a little bit more dynamic to him to become, to me, fully legit onto the main roster. And then maybe potentially start going after some titles. But I just, I'm lost with his character. And what was it like in the arena with the whole Titus Kalisto match, and then the reaction from that?
Yeah, so the crowd was pretty much dead for this match. There were a couple Apollo Crews chants. There were a couple chants for Kalisto. Other than that, most people, you could visibly see most people getting up and going to the bathroom, going to the concessions, whatever. So the crowd just either wasn't there physically or wasn't there emotionally invested or whatever. For me, I actually am starting to get behind this storyline. I kind of wish it wasn't Kalisto taking, the L's, so to speak, for this. But I get a kick out of every time at the end of each match, Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews take those goofy pictures.
I'm not gonna lie, the selfie thing is actually pretty funny, and they post on their social media. It is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
And like Apollo Crews looks like he's kind of like awkward there, standing there. But
like the dad from 1992 that just showed up in your son's life, and you have no idea what he's doing there.
And I'm glad. I feel like I'm glad the Titus brand actually has a person with it. I think it has the potential to be something bigger than, just a corny storyline. I think it could be could build a mini stable, and if they build it to like where you think it's going to be trying to be a new day, and instead turn it to a heel faction where Titus O'Neil is the manager, and it has like maybe Kalisto actually joins it and decides he can't keep losing. I don't know, but have this a couple an actual vicious faction taking out the undercard, or maybe they go after the cruiserweights. I don't know, something cool where you don't feel like it's just a waste of time, that they actually have a cool ending momentum going, and I like that. And it's right now it's at a cool moment where I laugh, I enjoy it a little bit. Wish the matches were a little bit longer, but other than that, I think it's pretty cool. I see potential. I think that's my key thing. I see potential with it being good. I'm scared the WWE is either going to drop it or drop the ball with it.
Yeah, definitely. I can see the potential in it too. I really hope that this becomes something for potentially both, but definitely more so for Apollo. So moving on from that to the most infamous segment of the show, Alexa Bliss and This Is Your Life with Bailey. Maybe I went a little too far on this. I don't know if I said it on the show yesterday on the live stream, but I know I've definitely mentioned it to some of the other members of the Outlaws. I thought that was probably one of the worst segments in Raw. One of the worst segments in at least this decade. And it's not Alexa Bliss's fault whatsoever. It was just a very horribly drawn out and very horribly put together segment. And kind of like you said earlier at the beginning of the show, you could see on the crowd, or you could see on Alexa Bliss's face and her emotions that, man, she just was just trying to limp it out and just get it done and over with, but at the same time trying to make something out of it. And she tried, and her noticing the crowd and knowing the reactions and stuff like that, and her kind of implementing that into the segment kind of really helped rejuvenate it in some ways, because it helps when you acknowledge what the crowd is doing instead of just being so oblivious to it and trying just to carry on with it. But even then, you can see her frustration. You can see that she was kind of messing up and stuff like that. That Mrs. Flapper, I don't know where in the hell they came up with that one. I really, really don't. I really think that they just put some really funny, corny, stupid names into a hat and put a drawing in there like Mrs. Flapper, Mrs. Hang On 'em, Mrs. Squidward, something. I mean, I bet you they just put all sorts of names and that was the winner. That was weird. The friend and the other guy friend and them having a crush and making, oh God, it was horrible. Obviously, I heard on TV what the crowd was like, but man, I can only imagine how sitting there, I bet it was so uncomfortable just sitting there going, man, this is bad. And then just experiencing that crowd just so negatively towards it.
Yeah, and the crowd was really started to turn on it when the crowd is chanting for the teacher rather than and for Bliss, or they weren't even chanting we want Bailey. They weren't even chanting for Bailey, and that was the point of the segment, is that people are supposed to side with Bailey, and they didn't. And even more so, they started booing the segment. And that was hard to watch because I have a lot of respect for Alexa Bliss. When I first saw her in an NXT episode, I thought, okay, this girl is really, really good. She's talented and she has potential. And then her, teaming up with Blake and Murphy and her work there, she's just really, really good. And now with her mic skills finally coming to fruition, and she's finally showing how diverse her skill set is, and now she's actually using what the crowd is chanting against her in her promos. She's really, really good. So she deserved better than what she was given on Monday. I feel like they were just trying to give her a heel promo going into the pay-per-view, and instead of letting her create her own and letting her create a little bit of magic, they shoved this stuff, and it was overbooked, to say the least. Like, if she had just had the table of the memorabilia, she could have gone to town with that. But adding the actual people in there and having the mini interviews, it became a slog fest. And I was just sitting there waiting for it to be over, and I hate doing that when I'm watching wrestling. I hate waiting for segments to be over, because she deserves better. Bailey deserves better. This kendo stick on a pole match, I really rather have seen a street fight or something like that. I mean, it could be really good. Honestly, it could be excellent, but I don't think it will be. Not because of the two women, but because of the limitations of the match. And the segment didn't help, prove why women are on the same foot as men on Raw or SmackDown. That this segment just made it look like the people in the back aren't supporting the women as much as they could, and they can't give them the best material that they deserve. Like I said, Bliss, she saved the segment as much as she could. She tried to put as much life into it as she could, and when someone that talented couldn't save it, it wasn't that good. There was no way to save it.
Yeah, absolutely. They tried their best. I feel like WB wanted to poke fun at Vince Russo and steal his ideas of on the pole match. let's just be forever grateful that it's not a pinata on the pole match, and it's certainly not a Viagra on a pole match. I'm sure if WCW lasted for a little bit longer and Vince Russo was still in charge and had some women to fight, it probably would have been a birth control on a pole match. That wouldn't surprise me if that was something. I'm surprised they didn't use it in TNA.
I'm surprised they didn't do it. Oh, I'm surprised they didn't do another wrestler on a pole match and have somebody sitting on a pole and bring them into the match whenever you pick them off the pole.
Yeah, well, remember they had something. They were going to do something like that at Bash at the Beach 2000, where it was, or maybe it was New Blood Rising. I don't remember. It was one of the two summer pay-per-views in WCW in 2000, where it was supposed to be. It was a wrestler named Canyon, and it was Buff Bagwell having a feud. And Buff Bagwell's mother, Judy, got involved, and it was going to be a Judy Bagwell in a pole match. And then they realized she's not the skinniest person in the world. So then, and I did this yesterday on the show, and I love doing it because I think it's hilarious. But in my best Canyon voice, it was a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. And that was, as you could expect, god-awful. Moving on to the last Cruiserweight match of the night, Aries and Gallagher versus TJ Perkins, TJP, whatever you want to call him, and Neville. These are the four mainstays on 205 Live. You got the Rich Swann and Noam Dar thing going on, and you've also got the Kira Tozawa and Kendrick thing going on as well. This is obviously the main stage as the titles influence into this. I love all four of these guys. I feel like that this is getting really old really quickly. Usually you have an Aries TJP match on 205 Live. Usually you have a Gallagher TJP, Gallagher Neville, and then obviously you have the Neville versus Aries match on the pay-per-view. WrestleMania, Payback, and now Extreme Rules coming up for the Cruiserweight title. And in a submission match, Aries made Neville tap, which was interesting. But I hate that they keep putting him over and then making him lose on the pay-per-view. So we'll see if that changes Sunday. What was the crowd's reaction to this match, and how they play out to all four guys in the ring?
So the crowd's reaction was on and off. You had the guys next to me who were not Austin Aries fans, but definitely were really into Neville, and they were chanting, "We're your loyal subjects," and "We love you, Neville. We want Neville. We want our king." That kind of thing. Really annoying. I was chanting for Aries. I was doing, every time they chanted, I did an opposite chant for Aries. The crowd was on and off. Nobody was into Gallagher. Like, I can't stand Gallagher. I think his gimmick is kind of silly. The whole umbrella thing just turns me off. The fact that he brought that into the Rumble kind of was frustrating. I enjoy Aries. I think Aries is a really, really talented. I kind of wish he was on the main roster rather than on 205, but that's neither here nor there. I felt like they really shouldn't have given up that submission in a Raw match. I feel like submissions should be protected to pay-per-views, especially now they gave away the fact that pretty much there's no way that Neville's going to tap on Sunday. Two tap outs in the same week doesn't make any sense. So, and people are not really into TJP. I think he's a great wrestler. I just think he's been used poorly.
Agreed.
I was a huge fan of him in TNA as Manic, and I was a fan of him in the Cruiserweights. But now he's on the main roster. He's kind of just like cannon fodder for everybody else. So the crowd doesn't have anything invested in him. They were chanting since they were chanting Neville as a Hobbit, they were saying that TJ was his precious, so it's TJ Precious, and Neville's a Hobbit.
Oh gosh.
So the crowd definitely was not into the match. They were too busy trying to come up with clever names to say and clever chants to have. I'm surprised none of them showed up on TV because they were loud, and there were a lot of people chanting Neville's a Hobbit and TJ Precious. I think the match was okay. I think Gallagher really took away from a lot of what could have been a great match. I'm not a huge fan of just submission-style wrestling. So I would have preferred, a Cedric Alexander or Rich Swann or something like that in the match. Like you said, it is getting old really quickly. I think they really should have wrapped this storyline up and moved on with something else. Honestly, with this continuing storyline between Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick should have been over, and Akira Tozawa should be going after Neville. There's so many stuff they could be doing with 205 Live, and they do too many silly storylines like this Rich Swann and Noam Dar storyline. They could be doing a lot more serious like rivalries, and instead you got this goofy stuff like Brian Kendrick is trying to be a mentor and stuff, and it's silly.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see what happens this Sunday. We'll see. I'm already kind of doubting that Aries will win the title just because of what you said, basically, and having Neville already tapped. It makes no sense to me. But WWE does some surprising things, so we'll see for sure. Coming on before the main event was the Goldust promo that I think translated into R-Truth's little funny segment, which was pretty cool. I'm digging this feud. I really do enjoy it. I am so glad that the glimpse of an old Goldust is coming back. I love the director's chair stuff and the the 24 karat pictures presented, all that good stuff. I love that Goldust, and I'm glad that they kind of brought back a little bit of that. And I think it'll be interesting to see. It's amazing how I think Dustin Runnels is 48, 47, something like that years old, and in the best shape of his life, and kind of in a revival character in a way, just because bringing back the old character. It's really interesting how that works. I don't know if we'll see him Sunday, maybe a pre-show match. I doubt it. We'll see. But I am a little interested in seeing how this program goes into and what comes out of it and what goes on. And it does kind of revival R-Truth as well a little bit, because as a tag team, they were pretty good. I think I saw something that a few weeks ago that they were 36-0 between live events and TVs the whole year, and they hadn't gotten any shot at the tag team titles. And I was like, oh, that could be a start for them getting something. And then instead of them being a little push, they have Goldust turn on him. So, I mean, whatever works. But I think it'd be interesting to see what goes on from here with both characters.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a really interesting story. I hope it's a brief one. I hope it doesn't go into like 2 or 3 pay-per-views. I hope it's like a pay-per-view and then maybe a Monday Night Raw thing. I like Goldust being a heel and being his old school ways. I think that's something that the main roster needs, is an old veteran coming back and being as good as ever. I feel like R-Truth needs to be serious in this story too. I feel like that the start, what they did on Monday, wasn't right. I feel like there was a misstep that R-Truth should have been like snapped into like I'm serious, I'm going to take care of business instead of being goofy. And I think if he can channel that and be kind of serious for at least one feud, it'll be really helpful and actually make the feud must see rather than here's Goldust fighting against this guy who doesn't really know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's for sure. So now moving on to the main event of the night, it was Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins in another fantastic match. It seems like whenever these two are in the ring, it just seems like they tear the house down each and every time. I'm not going to lie to you, even though I still don't like Roman Reigns. He has definitely got that I don't give a damn attitude, and it really shows, and it's really helping him. So even if I didn't think there was that many boos against him this week. There were definitely. I mean, that's just me. Maybe it was just a television thing, and they were trying to drown out those things. But it seemed like more people are getting a little bit interested in him, and not that the fact that he's getting shoved down our throats. I think it's just for the fact of he's just this tough, badass type of character, and he's got that mentality of I don't really care if you like me or if you do. I'm just here for whatever I want to do, and goes out and puts on pretty decent matches. And I love Seth Rollins just as much as anybody, and I think it's fantastic what he's doing so far in the ring, and like I said, with the match that he had with Reigns, really tore the house down. Definitely how the crowd did react to the match, how did the crowd react to both Seth and Roman, and the takeaway from the main event.
So yeah, the crowd was definitely finally fired up again for this match. They really, you could tell they, as somebody next to me said, Roman is getting the Cena treatment. At least in this crowd, you had the Roman sucks, let's go Roman chants. He didn't get booed out of the place when the match was over. While I was booing him just because I like booing him. I give him props. He put on a good match. Him and Rollins put on a match, and he put the work in. He deserved that win. Of course, as a Rollins fanboy, I really wish Rollins had won. But I got to give the devil his due. Reigns put in a good match. I kind of wish he had less rest holds toward the beginning and kind of just kept pushing through. But the ending had some really good segments, and I really enjoyed that. Especially if I get this correctly, Rollins did that standing moonsault at the beginning of the match on Reigns. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. All of the other segments were really cool. They always have really good chemistry. I will always support Rollins, and if Reigns keeps putting in good matches like this, I'll at least support Reigns as a wrestler and as a person rather than his push that they're giving him.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Reigns is slowly starting to earn my respect. I don't think he deserves a big push right now. I think he needs to have an undercard feud with somebody. Other than that, the match was really good. The crowd was on fire for it. You had the dueling Rollins Reigns chants, and little spurts of "this is awesome." I felt like it deserved an actual standing ovation, but that was just me. It was a really good match. I kind of wish there was a run-in from the other three competitors after the match had gotten over with for the Fatal 5-Way. But by the same token, I could see where they're coming from with that.
Yeah, for sure, definitely, and that's really going to be a really interesting Fatal 5-Way this Sunday. It's going to be a very tough match for me to call just for selecting a really big winner, so that's going to be awesome. So definitely, that was a Raw review we got going on, and before we get into the Extreme Rules preview, which we'll get into that, and we're gonna give our predictions and all that good stuff. Quickly before we do that, I want to give a local shout out to FEW, as they do have a show coming up. Well, do you support local indie wrestling, or do you support indie wrestling at all?
Yeah, of course I do.
Absolutely. You gotta definitely take the opportunity to go out and enjoy some independent promotions. These guys and gals are the lifeblood of our industry. They're the people that definitely create a future, while the guys and the legends in the past built the pavement for us to enjoy today in today's age. The indie stars, men and women that are definitely doing things now, are the future and lifeblood for this industry. So Fighting Evolution Wrestling, which is based out of Coral Springs, Florida, putting on a hell of a show. It's called Summer Showdown 2. It's going on Saturday, June 10th. That is next Saturday at the Coral Springs High School. That is 7201 West Sample Road in Coral Springs, Florida, 33065. They've got some awesome guys and gals that are going to be appearing at that show. They got the former WWE superstar and current TNA announcer, or Impact Wrestling announcer, the Pope, D'Angelo De Niro, a.k.a. Elijah Burke. He's going to be appearing on the show. You've got former WWE superstar X-Pac appearing on the show, and then you've got Mosh and Thrash, the Headbangers, going to be appearing on the show, as well as Impact Wrestling superstar ODB appearing as well. Ringside seats are $20, general admission $15, and kids at 10 or under get in free. For tickets, you can go to Summer Showdown 2, that's the number 2, .eventbrite.com. Once again, that's summershowdown2.event, E-V-E-N-T, Bright, B-R-I-T-E, that's one word, eventbrite.com. And you can definitely follow them on Facebook at FEW Survive, Fighting Evolution Wrestling, Summer Showdown 2. Get your tickets and get them now. So definitely going on to Extreme Rules, that's going to be happening this Sunday. Got a good little card that's going on. I'm kind of looking forward to this pay-per-view. Got some matches going on that looking forward to, and seeing how it's going to be playing out after Extreme Rules. We'll start off here, and we'll just kind of give our quick synopsis on what we think is going to win. Maybe a little bit of a quick match synopsis, and then we'll go from there. We'll start out Probably to me the match I'm not really looking forward to the most would be that mixed tag match between Rich Swann and Sasha Banks versus Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. I kind of wish this was the first match just so I didn't have to worry about it later in the show, so I can get it out of the way. I definitely think Rich Swann and Sasha Banks take this one home. But what do you feel like is going to happen there?
So I definitely think that WWE thinks this is gold, and that the crowd is into it when the crowd is clearly not. So my best guess is that Noam Dar and Alicia Fox will take a heel win, probably by a roll-up or a ref distraction, and they're going to push the rest of the feud to probably the mid-June at best. So I think Alicia Fox and Noam Dar are going to win.
Definitely interesting. Got different viewpoints there. I like it. Going on next, I'm just don't think these are in any order, match order wise. I'm just kind of going off of what I see. The Cruiserweight Championship match, a submission match for the Cruiserweight Championship, Neville versus Aries. We kind of touched base on this a little bit ago, saying that we don't expect Neville to be tapped out twice in 1 week. However, I'm going to go against the grain and say that Austin Aries is actually going to make Neville tap and will win the Cruiserweight title for the first time. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really wish that I could say that that's what I think is going to happen, but in my heart of hearts, I feel like TJP is going to come out and form a distraction and allow Neville to cheat, like maybe rake the eyes or low blow and do a submission move into the win. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a spot where, for some reason, Austin Aries forgets that it's a submission match and goes for a pin, and then kind of gets, like, the referee calls off this pin or something stupid like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen, just because I don't know. I just foresee it for some reason, but I definitely think Neville's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that Aries wins. I really think that'd be awesome for Aries to finally get a main title run on the show, on Raw/205 Live, and I think he will win. There is that little gut feeling that I think Neville will win, but I am going to go with Aries on this one. Kind of moving right on along here, we've got the WWE Raw Tag Team title match inside of a 16-foot high steel cage between Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys, and against Sheamus and Cesaro. I understand why whenever the Hardys had the decision, of course, my first instinct was either a TLC or a ladder match. I know they had a ladder match at WrestleMania, but, you know, it's the Hardys, and that's the first thing you think of. Definitely interesting for a steel cage match. I see this match not ending well for the Hardys. I think the reason why they put a steel cage match was so Sheamus and Cesaro didn't pin him or make him submit clean. I think Sheamus and Cesaro went back to tag team titles by escaping the cage, either via door or over the top. I've always said, and I said this at Payback, I thought that maybe the Hardys would lose it then and become broken. I don't even know if WWE is interested in turning them broken. I really would love that. I keep saying, well, whenever the Hardys lose, they're going to turn broken. But I just think that maybe that's not the case. But I do think that Sheamus and Cesaro will win it while keeping the Hardys looking strong. But I hate that you don't win cleanly, pinfall or submission in the steel cage match most of the time anymore. You just kind of escape the cage now. But what are your thoughts on this match?
So I kind of see it as, I definitely don't think the Hardys are going to get pinned. They're just on such another level with the legendary status and all of that. I don't think a pin would make a whole lot of sense. It would have to be pretty significant for them to get pinned. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see something playing in with Jeff Hardy's tooth, as well as maybe have one of the Hardys get like tied up in the ropes or something like that, and have one of the other Hardys get beaten up for like a good portion of the match. But yeah, I definitely see Cesaro and Sheamus walking out with the titles. I actually see them going through the door. Like, I think they're going to beat the Hardys up in such a way that they're going to be like so beaten up and unable to move that they're just going to be able to walk through the door and it's going to be like the shock of the night is this definitive beating of them without pinning them, but like they decide that they're not even going to try pinning them. They're just going to walk through the door.
That's an interesting point of view in that beating them and just kind of leaving there. So that would be interesting. Yeah, I think we do both agree on that one, that the Hardys will not retain. I would like to see them retain. I do like seeing a Hardy Boys title run, especially them coming back home for so long after being away in TNA and other commitments and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting to see how that match escalates and where both teams go after this and what happens during the show. Let's move right along on the match card. We've got a kendo stick on a pole match for the Raw Women's Championship between Bayley and the current champion, Alexa Blissful Bliss. I'm going to be biased, and I just hope that Alexa wins just because I love Alexa Bliss so much. Everything about her is just so fantastic, from her being a top heel and just one of the best heels on both brands and in the company, to her being, very hot, but, that's okay. And she's athletic as all get out, too. So, I mean, she's just got, to me, the full package. And it's very rare to see that in women's these days, where they've just got just outstanding beauty, outstanding talent, and outstanding mic work, and can play a crowd like a fiddle. And she can play a crowd like a fiddle. When I first heard of this match, I thought it was funny that Alexa Bliss is 5 foot. And I'm like, I don't think she can reach the kendo stick just by jumping off the top rope. But I think they shortened it to where she can do it. So I just thought that was a little funny kind of playing out way of that happening. I know they've been playing up the Bayley not getting extreme. And, of course, I think, she'll get extreme and she'll use that kendo stick. However, I do think that somehow, some way, Alexa Bliss pulls out this, whether it's a roll-up, whether it's using the tights or using the rope, something like that. Somehow, some way, playing that heel character perfectly again, I think she does pull out and get the win here.
Yeah, I could see where you say that. So I definitely think Bayley's going to get this stick first. So that's just a given. I wouldn't be surprised though if we don't see something I've seen a little bit before. Bliss using the kendo stick in a submission move to have Bayley tap out. Kind of like across the face or across the neck or something like that, into like the submission hold and getting Bayley to tap out that way. I really hope it gets extreme, that they pull out like a chair or something like that. I think this could be a turning point in Bayley's career to where she no longer is this kiddie gimmick, but that she's willing to go a little step further into hardcore territory. Maybe you could have like something in the back earlier in the night where she's on the phone with Mick Foley or something like that, getting advice. But I think if they make this to where they only use the kendo stick like 3 times in the match, I think it's going to be really a letdown. I think they have a chance here to really make a new character for Bayley and define Alexa Bliss as a top heel.
Definitely, yeah. I can see them. I can see your point of view in them only using this weapon a few times and then that's it. And I would really hate that if they did that. I would think it'd be pretty funny if they did, or not funny, but I think it would be fun from a match perspective if they did use other weapons into it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, if you're putting this kendo stick on a pole match up to this, big magnificent thing, why not use any other weapon? Why can't it be something a little more than a kendo stick? I don't know, but it would be cool using and implementing other weapons into it, especially for Bayley to kind of overcome that kiddie gimmick and using some more weapons to kind of make that vicious and intimidating side out of her come out. That would be interesting. So going on from that, we've got the Intercontinental title match in one of the stupidest match stipulations that I've ever seen in my life. It's a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules, but if Dean Ambrose gets disqualified, he'll lose the title. How that makes sense, I have no idea. But it is Dean Ambrose, champion, the IC champion, against The Miz with Maurice. In, like I said, the Intercontinental title match, where if Ambrose is disqualified, he does lose the title. I don't think Ambrose will get disqualified. I think with the help of Maurice, Miz will, or somehow, some way, whether Maurice tries to interfere and she gets thrown out, and that kind of distracts either Ambrose for a second or something like that, and Miz either does a low blow, then does mic check, or mic check, skull crushing finale. My bad, I'm thinking of Mr. Kennedy here. Um, basically the same move, just backwards, I think, is what Kennedy's is, or Anderson. But skull crushing finale, I can see him doing that, or potentially doing a figure four leg lock, something like that. What would be really interesting is if Miz can't get disqualified, what would be interesting is if he could use a kendo stick or something like that in the figure four to make it even more painful. How? I don't know how that would work, but I mean, use your imagination, and that'd be interesting to see that. But I do see Miz coming out of this, and I do see the Miz winning the IC title back. I think this would be 7 times, 6 times, something like that. 7-time champion, I believe, would be if he wins this one. What do you think about this match?
So, yeah, I definitely think that The Miz is going to walk out with the title. I think he's proved himself on SmackDown, and I think the WWE officials are going to trust him with the title going forward. I kind of hope Ambrose gets out of a title picture for a little bit, and that Miz can feud with maybe a young blood or somebody new. I think Miz will either find a way to trick Ambrose into doing a submission move, getting disqualified, or he will have it to where like he'll do like the old Eddie Guerrero kind of thing and trick the referee into thinking that Ambrose used a chair or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miz is that strategic and uses that in some way, or have it to where it looked like Ambrose hit Maurice and have Maurice act like she got hit, and because of the rules of the WWE that Dean Ambrose has to get disqualified.
That'd be interesting, for sure. That'd be an interesting dynamic to see if different couple ways of seeing Dean Ambrose possibly getting disqualified and losing the title. Really cool dynamic there. So now we go on to the main event of the show, where these 5 guys are wrestling for a title that's been in hibernation ever since WrestleMania. If anybody's ever seen a Universal title, please return it to WWE ASAP, especially Raw. We're in dire need of a champion. Joking aside, that's a thorn in my side and a different story for a different day. Fatal 5-Way Extreme Rules match for the WWE, or for the number 1 contendership for the WWE Universal Championship. Got the big dog Roman Reigns versus the man Seth Rollins versus the Demon King Finn Balor versus the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt versus the Samoan Submission Machine Samoa Joe. This match is going to be so hard to call. I've got 3 people I really want to win. And I hate using logistics into a match like this. I don't read spoilers. I don't read dirt sheets. I try to just enjoy the show and be thoroughly entertained and thoroughly surprised and shocked and if there's something funny and it happens. And I just like to feel the live entertainment of it. I don't like looking up predictions and spoilers and stuff like that. I'll do predictions myself, but I won't look up any others or stuff like that. So with the logistics of it, yes, I can see that Roman and or Seth and Bray have something, or Seth and Joe having something, and then maybe Bray and Roman may have something while Braun is out. I don't know. However, I would love for Finn to finally get his one-on-one match again. It'd be interesting, him versus Lesnar. I would like to see another Rollins versus Lesnar match, just because I feel like Seth deserves a Universal title run for all that he's also gone through, as well as Finn. I don't know how a Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar match would do. I think that'd be a really weird concept for some reason. But they can't get both get physical, so that would be a kind of an interesting match. Bray versus Brock would be downright creepy. You got this very white, palish badass versus very creeped out dude, and I just feel like it'd be just a weird concept. And then, of course, we've seen Reigns versus Lesnar. Just a brutality all-out fight, basically, and that was awesome. Their match at 31, to me, was actually really good. I just love the fact that it was just an all-out brawl. So, but I have to pick a winner from this match. I mean, I guess I have to go. I would have to choose Finn. His swan song with getting his redemption at the shot of the Universal title would be something that I could see happening. I could see down the road a Seth versus Finn rematch at Survivor SummerSlam. Kind of redemption for what happened last year, and hopefully none of them will get injured. Hopefully nobody gets injured in this match. The Extreme Rules aspect is really going to be an interesting thing. I think they are going to literally tear the house down. Spanish announce table, English announce table, Funaki and the Japanese announce table, Sean Dang and the Chinese announce table, Zam Pomeroratsky, whatever your name is, your Russian announce table. Who else am I forgetting? The German announce table, the Indian announce table. Y'all are going to have fun. You're going to have a lot more TV time than just showing all your faces on a pay-per-view and your 15 seconds of fame. I think they're going to break a lot of stuff in this match and use a lot of weapons. So this will be a very interesting match, to say the least. I think I'm going to go with Finn. I think that'll be, like I said, his redemption with coming back from a major injury and having his one-on-one shot at the Universal title against Lesnar.
Okay, yeah, and I can see where you're coming from with that. So do you want my what I hope happens and what I predict actually is going to happen?
I kind of did the same thing. I took up quite a lot of time, so you can go with both.
Yeah, so my hope, what I really want to happen, is actually that Gallows and Anderson come out to help Finn get the win,
Okay.
and that I feel like Finn's interaction with Paul Heyman was not just a random thing, because Paul Heyman was actually very favorable for Balor, more so than he was when he was talking with Reigns before. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see an interesting story where maybe Heyman's trying to side with Balor, maybe be the manager of the Balor Club, and turns on Brock. I would love that, to see a heel Balor and a Balor Club going after Brock, make Brock kind of like a target, put a target on Brock's back, and force Brock to become a babyface against a heel faction. I think that'd be really good. Then you could really set up a rivalry that's kind of been starting to brew of Joe versus Wyatt, and then you could put Reigns against somebody on the mid card, which would be pretty cool. Maybe against the Miz or something like that. So there's a lot of potential with that. I don't think they're gonna let Balor take the title from Brock, but if this was my dream world, Balor would win against Brock and then go on to face, like you said, Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. There's a lot of stuff they could do with a heel Balor and a heel Balor faction. What I think is going to happen is I think that Samoa Joe is going to win, kind of get a last-minute pin on somebody, or like a reach and grab for a pin, because I think they're going to hold off Balor versus Brock till SummerSlam, and then they're going to just do Brock versus Reigns at WrestleMania. I would love to see if they do a swerve and have Brock lose the title early on. I think that would be nice, that we can actually have a title back on Raw. But I don't think they're going to do that. I definitely would like to see Samoa Joe versus Brock. I think Brock, if he actually gets back to his roots and starts doing technical wrestling, I really think that could be a really good match. The problem is, Brock matches have become 2 moves the entire match, and it does not feel like wrestling. It feels like a joke. I used to have a lot of respect for Brock, and I've lost a lot of that because of what he's been doing with his matches. I feel like there's potential there for good story, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, I don't think in this stage of his career that Lesnar's going to go back to doing some in-ring technician and being what he was, where he could be a main event caliber talent and have 25-minute matches, 30-minute matches, and hold his own and actually legitimately look like a WWE wrestler who can perform to the highest level just like anybody else. I don't think that'll ever happen, and that'd be an interesting feud between him and Joe. Like I said, they both do have a physicality to them that even if Brock does have 2 or 3 moves, Joe could probably hold his own with the physicality and the violence that they both can bring to the table. That'd be really interesting. And I just don't know if that really would be something WWE would really consider much. I think it would be interesting to see if Lesnar loses the title this summer. It would give him enough time, maybe potentially the Royal Rumble again, maybe Survivor Series to win back the title. That way we can at least have something to look forward to every Monday where the champion would be on Raw. The Balor Club, the heel Balor, and the Balor Club and the turning on Brock would be probably one of the most interesting storylines in the past decade for WWE. I would love to see that. I think a lot of people would love to see that. I think if they did that, I think that they could really do a lot of good things with that. And having that heel stable, a really good, legitimate heel stable, like it would really be great on the show. But that's all we'll see. Well, definitely for sure. Extreme Rules is this Sunday live on the WWE Network. I'm not going to plug anything because I'm not getting paid for WWE to do that. So, but definitely will be an interesting show to see for sure. Like I said, there's only 6 matches on the card, so that seems like a short pay-per-view to me. Usually 7 or 8 is a norm. Like I said, maybe we'll see a Goldust versus R-Truth, but even if that's the case, I think it'll be a pre-show match. They usually just throw something together for a pre-show match anyways. And they usually announce that either the day of the pay-per-view or maybe the night before. We'll see what happens with that. Any closing remarks, though, for you, Will, before we end this episode of MarkOutMania?
Nothing really. It just I'm hopeful that the future of the WWE is gonna be bright. It's hard to see, with the new leadership, I guess, on SmackDown of Mr. Jinder Mahal as our champion. There's a lot of uncertainty there, and then not having a champion on Raw makes it hard to, see a bright future for young talent or see an interesting show to watch. Sometimes it's even hard for me to watch SmackDown, and I've really loved SmackDown. I just feel like sometimes during the summer, WWE doesn't put their best foot forward, that they just kind of throw stuff together until SummerSlam, and then after SummerSlam, we start seeing more dynamic stories. So I'm hoping that I'm just kind of being delirious, and that after Extreme Rules, we see some really dynamic stories developing, because if not, then the pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire is going to be awful. Not just because of name, but because of everything else.
God, I actually forgot that was the pay-per-view name. That's the next one after Raw, after Extreme Rules. I totally forgot about that. Now that we have that to look forward to is a whole other aspect of it. Yeah, that'd be interesting to say the least. And, yeah, I mean, I think that this, with the talent that WWE has, I don't know why, at least in this year, I don't know why we could see that summer fall off like we usually see. I can see this product really kind of picking up steam. The Extreme Rules pay-per-view should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank in a couple weeks. And then after that, we'll see what happens. I think it'll be interesting with the whole dynamic and the whole landscape of the opportunities that are people getting both on Raw and SmackDown will change. And we'll see how that carries out into future pay-per-views into the summer, future shows into the summer, and eventually leading to SummerSlam, where usually, like you said, the product does pick up some steam again. The dynamic storylines become more clear, more concise, and a little bit better as we lead into the fall with Survivor Series, and then Road to WrestleMania all over again with the Rumble in January, and then Mania in New Orleans April of next year. So that'll be definitely interesting to see how we go from there. I do want to thank Will once again. Will the Thrill coming on for this second episode of MarkOutMania. You can, like I said, follow him on Facebook. William Christian Carter, I believe, is it. I think he is listed in our bio for Concord Outlaws on Facebook, so check him out. Like I said, he did write a blog post on there. Definitely check it out. Give him some feedback. Show him some love. You can follow us at Concord Outlaws on Facebook.com/Concord Outlaws Wrestling. You You can follow me personally, the Phenomenal K-Dog, on Twitter at Cody Montanaro. That is a capital K and a capital M. Montanaro, just think of Joe Montana and put an RO at the end. That simple. You can follow us on Concord Outlaws on Twitter at Concord Outlaws, capitalize the C and the O. And MarkOutMania doesn't have its own little Twitter or Facebook thing. I just kind of make that page, my personal page on Twitter, where I put my thoughts, my things, as well as the show. So I'll definitely plug everything in there too as well. Definitely check out episode 1 on YouTube before you check out this one. This one didn't get to 2.5 hours, so everybody should be a little bit happy about that. So like I said, I do want to thank my guest Will, and definitely check this out. Like us, follow us, share all this good stuff, give us some feedback. And next week we will probably be doing the same thing, recapping Extreme Rules, maybe a preview of what's to come of Money in the Bank, and definitely do maybe a review of Raw and SmackDown, a quick review. No guests lined up yet, and then, like I said, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Maybe no guests next week. Maybe it'll just be a solo show. We'll see. But definitely give us a feedback. Follow us on social media. And other than that, guys, we will see you next week. Thank you for listening.